Laat root to the food for all your clients.
Alle jaren van de eerste jaar is pancake van de eerste jaar aan.
Komt u met het dat je zijn een goed neefje. Zijn te Pesach Sheini. Steht dat Pesach Sheini hat das Leben zu uns, das mit solchen Verfallen. Pesach Sheini, wenn die so die kommt machen, Pesach Rischen. Und sie gemerkt und das Verfallen, haben sie gesagt, dass sie da Mädchen. Weil Sommer hat sie gesagt, was sie gedacht haben, was nicht so, ist es toll, jene Sachen wäre. Dann eine gute Neffen, das verreicht, und das hat dritte Dollar, das Loch in alle gute Sachen.
Thank you very much.
Mr. and Mrs. Aaron and Devorah Fleischer, members of the Board of Trustees of Kingsbrook Jewish Medical.
For all you is good, and God Almighty bless you.
Would you bless my family?
Yes, that is it for your family.
Okay, welcome everyone for our amazing Farbrengen here. Bischos for our, we all know we're not like here to say adjectives here, for a complete and for the ultimately Shama for Chaya Mushka Bas Menachem Mendel. And we know the real Shama is to come to Mashiach Achshav. So, Adela, are you on? If you are, if you go on off of mute. Yeah, Adela, you're on, yeah? Okay, so Adela is going to lead us in saying Chaya's Kapitel. We can all say it together. She'll say Pasuk by Pasuk up to this year, Kapitel Yud Zayin. Adela, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Just say Pasuk by Pasuk, or should just say it straight?
I think Pasuk by Pasuk.
Okay. Tefila LeDavid Shema Adinai Tzedek Hakshiva Rinasi Ha'azina Sefilasi Belai Sifsei Mirma. Milfanecha Mishpati Yetze Einecha Techzena Mesharim. Bachanta Libi Pakadata Laila Teraftani Val Timsa Zamaisi Bal Ya'avarpi. Efulais Adam Bidvar Sifasecha Ani Shamarti Archais Paritz. Tamaich Ashurai Bimagleisecha Bal Namaitu Fa'amai. Ani Karasicha Kisa Aneni Elhat Azancha Ali Shema Emrasi. Hafle Chasadecha Mashiach Chaisim Mimiskaimimim Biminacha. Shamreni Keishain Bas Ayin Bitzel Kenafecha Tastireni. Mipnei Rishaim Zu Shaduni Ayavai Benefesh Yakifu Alai. Chabamai Sagru Pimai Dibru Vigeos. Asherenu Ata Sivavuni Einehem Yashisu Lentais Ba'aretz. Dimyainai Ke'arye Yichsaif Lidraif V'chichver Yaishev B'mistarim. Kuma Adinai Kadma Fanav Hachriehu Palta Nafshi Mirasha Charbecha. Mimsim Yadcha Adinai Mimsim Mechalad Cheltam Bachayim Utzifuncha Tamale Vitnam Yisbeu Banim V'hinichu Yisram Le'alilehem. Ani B'tzedek Echaza Fanecha Esba'a B'hakitz Timinusecha.
Thank you, Adela. Now we're going to say Kibbutz Chav together. I think that Chaya is someone who always wanted the best for others, and anyone else who needs our Furush Lema now, we all have names to start sprouting out, and everyone else, the Chol Chol Yama Yisrael, should have a complete speedy Furush Lema Achshav. So, Lam Natzayach Mizmar LeDavid, Yan Chadna B'Yam Sarah, Skafcha Shem Elehei Yaakov. Yishlach Ezcha Mikaidesh Imitzin Yistacha, Yiskar Kalman Chaisacha, Velascha Yadash Nasala. Yitincha, Chalvachav Chaltascha Yamale, Narana Bishuasacha, Vishem Elahinu Nidzgal, Yamali Adonai Kalman Shalisacha. Ate Daiti Kiashia Adonai Mashichai, Anenu Mishme Kachai, Bigaburis Yishai Minai. Ela Varacha, Ve'ela Basusim, Menachem B'Shem Adonai Elahinu Naskir. Himakaru v'nafalu v'nachan kamu v'nisaydayid adna heshia hamelach haninu b'yam kareinu. So that was Tilim, that was David Tefillah, and now we're gonna have Tzedakah now or throughout the night or tomorrow. Make sure to give a coin to Tzedakah and have in mind Mashiach. Now to get our Torah, see if our speaker is on. Second, finding out.
Hi.
You notice you're on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Amazing. Okay, take it away. This is our main speaker all the way from New York. And L'chaim, thank you.
L'chaim, all the way from North Carolina. Another state. Originally from New York. So you can never take the New York out of them, I guess. Okay. Well, thank you so much for arranging. And it's a very special night, the night of Pesach Sheini. So it's a pretty powerful time. And I just want to be able to share just a few words with you guys, and obviously open the mic after for anyone who wants to have any thoughts to share, a question, you know, something that they didn't fully understand or whatever else it is. I guess the difference between a lecture and a Hasidic Farbrengen is that we have the liberty to give brachas. So, you know, speeches, I don't know if you could give brachas, but that's the Hasidic Farbrengen can oftan, can malach nechol neshoftan. So with that being said, tonight's going to be the night. How do I, this is old time school thought, how do I see myself? Because I only see one person. Should I press participants?
If you go in like the right top corner, there should be like a button that when the mouse goes over it, like there should be an option that says gallery view. If you click that, you'll be able to see everyone.
Sorry, let me see. I just really want to, let me see if I see participants maybe. No. It says that when Mashiach comes, the youth are going to be bringing the olders back to the fold, and it's definitely this. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna just ask my daughter to get this on, okay? So like this, I just see a face to names.
Hey, Rivka Zarania.
I only see one person. Help me see like everyone on myself. Can we get this off? Okay. Yemaisa Mashiach, thanks to the teens, I appreciate it. I can't imagine the teachers who are 65, 70, 75 teaching, like God bless them for them learning the new Zoom. They deserve all the credits. Okay, so now it's beautiful to see all your faces. So tonight I just want to share a few words. I know that it's also a very special night, a powerful night. It's your friend's yahrzeit, Chaya's yahrzeit, and it's definitely something that I want to ensure that we address, because it's not something to be taken lightly on such a powerful night to have a yahrzeit. And I'm sure many of you were very close to Chaya as well. So I was actually listening today to a shir. Yossi Jacobson was having a shir that he was given, and he shared a really powerful story. So I wanted to share that with you. He said that in 1982, so most of you weren't born at the time, but actually I was 2 years old. And he said that there was a story in England where the Queen of England had many, many guards, a true story. The Queen had many, many guards and protecting the palace, obviously. And even within the palace itself, every room had guards to ensure that she's safe. No one really understands how, but this 30-something-year-old guy who was mentally retarded basically was able to make his way through the palace gates and went straight to the, this is historic, like I guess you could Google it, went straight to the Queen's room. It was in the nighttime, and basically kind of like abducted her and hijacked her. Like she was like stuck in the room, but nobody knew that she was hijacked. Like nobody knew that she was there with this retarded 30-year-old who was just, you know, on the loose with her. So she was a very obviously intelligent woman, and he also like threatened that he had also, you know, a rifle and whatnot. So he threatened that like, if you're going to say anything, I'm going to kill you on the spot. So she had to like think of something smart, like how to communicate with the people in the palace that I'm like in danger. So she calls up her security, like on the phone, and she says something like, to the extent, she didn't want to say I'm in trouble because then she'll be shot. So she said something like, you don't have to bring me fire for my cigarettes because I already have a fire here in my room. So obviously she was playing hints, you know, so they didn't really understand what he's saying. So he's like, oh, okay, fine, no problem. The guy, the head of the security didn't put two and two together. Like what she's saying, this is not like a normal, she's speaking in like poetic language over here. So she tried again, she called again. And this time, and each time they weren't picking up the memo. all of a sudden, the housekeeper, the room service, walked into the room, saw what was going on, like sees this 30-something-year-old, like retarded guy, and said, "Oh my gosh, what the beep beep is going on in this room over here? Like, what is happening? Like, the queen is under attack." And she ran out of the room, and obviously from there she ran to security, ran to get her help, called the police, etc., and they were able to get the queen back to safety. And they were sharing that after this incident, the head of the security guy, he actually worked during World War II. He worked as a security guy in England, for England, and he did an amazing job. It was like unbelievable that they upped him in rank. And even after they upped him in rank, he did such an unbelievable job. They gave him the most prestigious job in all of England, which was to be the head security for the queen in her palace. And here was his moment. He had all these years of training. He had all of this opportunity. And when the moment came that the queen is calling up, hinting out in a shape and form that she's in danger, first of all, how did the guy get into the palace? That was like a no-brainer. And even when he did get into the palace, he wasn't picking up the memo that something was wrong, that there's a fire burning in her room. And obviously after this incident, this guy was fired and never to be working in the palace again. And he was sharing, when you think about today's day and age, it's so crazy to think that when the Rebbe accepted upon himself leadership in Tafshin Yud Aleph, and he said the famous words that all of you know, Basti Lagani. He said, guys, I want to tell you something. It's not because you deserve it. It's not necessarily because you're better. As a matter of fact, we're all midgets on the giant's shoulders. But I want to tell you one thing. This is the generation that is going to witness the coming of Mashiach. And don't think that you're going to let me do all the job. I'm sharing the responsibility with all of you. Every single one of us is responsible to make it happen and to bring his coming. So this took place in Tafshin Yud Aleph, 1950. It's like 40-something years ago. And all throughout that time, the Rebbe had all of these different campaigns in order to bring those steps closer and to make his mission statement all the more of a reality. So he had the Mitzvah Neshek, and there was the Mitzvah Tzedakah, and Mitzvah Avos Yisrael, and every single Mitzvah until literally the 10th of the 10 Mitzvahim, and then there was the 11th Mitzvah, and even Mitzvah Mashiach, which was to just get ourselves and the world ready for Mashiach. And if you think about it, it's like we're living in a historic time period that if we don't stop for a moment and tap in to realize what we're going through, then we can let this whole experience pass us by and have nothing in reality to do with us. Every generation worked with one goal. Every generation worked so that we could get closer to the coming of Mashiach. Every generation is standing there from all of the years of Mesiras Nefeshes and being thrown into fires and being thrown into chambers. Every single one of these generations came to a place where they're pointing to us now. All those years of work and practice, this security guard had years and years of practice and training so that when the big day comes, if the big day comes, not always is there going to be a security issue, but if the big day comes, they're there and he's ready. And that's really where we're holding today. All the generations have done what they could do, and clearly they didn't merit the coming of Mashiach, sadly. And not necessarily is our little actions what's going to be the one that's going to be, like the Rebbe says, it's not because of our greatness, but simply because it's an accumulation of all of the previous generations that have done everything that they can, and here we are today. And it's like, it would be crazy for all of these years of training and working so hard and being so focused and putting so much effort and energy to miss that opportunity and not get the memo and not realize, wait, this is the moment. Now is the time. This is a time period now where, if you think about it, the whole world is in this limbo state. Every single day, the questions are in our house. Do you think camp's going to happen? Do you think camp's not going to happen? And I keep telling my daughter, I'm like, don't even ask the question. Nobody knows anything. There's nothing to figure out. Nobody knows anything. Everything that America stood for, the gods of America, if you want to call it, right? American Idol, right? You guys in California. Every idol worship that America bowed down to is gone. It disappeared. Money, go to Wall Street in Manhattan, the top industry of the world, it's empty. You could drop a pin drop over there. It's gone. The movies are not playing now. Hollywood is off. They're gone. It's not happening. The malls that people always, went shopping and physicality was in its heightened state, and you went to Coach and you went to here and there, stores are closing down. There's shops that are actually, they couldn't make it, and now they made an announcement. There's like 2-3 big department stores like Lehman Marcus and some other ones. They have to go in bankruptcy because they're done. And so it's like we're left with one thing. Everyone's turning in one direction. They're turning in one direction, and they're realizing now's the time to turn to spirituality. Now the world is saying now's the time to turn to God. Now's the time to pray to God. The world is saying this. It's not like we're so brilliant that we're coming up with this. The world realizes that every physicality that there was in the world, that everyone was so indulged in and worshipped and idoled, everything about it is gone. So today's Pesach Sheini. And, we always know, you hear many years in school, Pesach Sheini, the Jews in the desert were carrying Yosef's bones, and perhaps they were carrying, other opportunities that they were tameh, and they said, why should we miss out on this mitzvah? And so Moshe didn't know what to do. He wasn't sure. And so, it ended up coming out that because they complained, for good reasons, obviously, we got another mitzvah called Pesach Sheini. Okay, so that's for then, right? That's, that's for the Jews that were living in the desert. I was actually just watching today, which was so touching. There's a guy from Crown Heights. He's Al Torah's fundraiser, Rabbi Gold. He was in the hospital now for, 28 days. He was on a ventilator for 28 days. Go on to COL and you can watch it. It makes you cry. And he comes out of the car. He just got home from the hospital today, literally Tchias HaMesim, and he wanted to know, when is the Pesach Seder? Because he went to the hospital right before Pesach. And so his family had to tell him that basically Pesach is over, long over. And he said, and you could watch it, like listen to him saying it. He goes, at least tomorrow's Pesach Sheini, I have a second chance. It's like, this is what we're living through now, where Pesach Sheini, first of all, Begashmi, people are literally having their second Seder, their first Seder that they didn't have. But if there's any question of what Pesach Sheini is, to me, this is how I interpret it. Since the Rebbe accepted leadership, and all the more so from 1990 and 1991, when the Rebbe was obsessed with Mashiach, and the Rebbe didn't stop with Mashiach, and he just kept begging, get yourself ready, get the world ready. We're already entering so close, Atat Mashiach, we're holding onto the doorstep, he's right around the corner, open your eyes. All of these sichas that you've read or you haven't read, and if you haven't read, now's the time to read it. And time and time again, the Rebbe kept saying, like, he's right there, just after the Eigen, he gives Mangu Laschem, right? All of these things. So Gimel Tammuz was how many years ago, right? A little too long. Even before Gimel Tammuz was Chav Zayin Adar, where the Rebbe had the stroke. So it's already for like 27, 28 years that the Rebbe hasn't spoken Begashmias. So if we didn't get the memo in 27 years, the Mashiach is coming and he's right by around the corner. Guys, get ready. If he was right around the corner then, he's obviously like right by our doorstep now. And if it took all these years that we still didn't get the memo, then to me, this Pesach Sheini it's like, you better wake up. Like, I better wake up. People are like, but I'm so nervous. What's going to be when Mashiach comes? Am I still going to have my friends? Am I still going to have my house? Great questions. But guess what? We had a solid 30 years to learn about this. And obviously you guys are not 30 years, but our whole life, the Rebbe kept begging before Gimel Tammuz, get yourself ready. If I don't know about Mashiach by now, it's like we're missing the memo. Pesach Sheini, get on with the program. Because Mashiach is so close, everyone is recognizing it. The world is realizing it. Even in the Litvish world and in the Hasidic world, they're all like, every Zoom that I'm listening from their speeches and from their classes that they're giving, they're all acknowledging we're right before the coming Mashiach. I'm like, hi, that's what the Rebbe told us. But it took a couple of years for them to get onto the bandwagon, and they're noticing that now. The world, every single person that I encounter, any of the students that I talk to, or any of the women in my community or on campus also, and every time I end the conversation, I'm like, yeah, Mashiach definitely got to come. normally it would have been like, went over their head. Like, what are you saying? Mashiach had to come. What is Mashiach? Who's Mashiach? I'm fine. Like, campus life is great. Like, what am I talking about? Now, like, every single person's response it takes it in a different place. They're like, yeah, we're so ready. Like, now is a great time. This is like the response. Like, now is a great time. So they're all realizing and they're all noticing, like, now is a great time. So the world is ready for Mashiach. The only question is, am I ready for Mashiach? And Pesach Sheini is there to remind us, like, today is the day that I need to recommit myself, to give myself that second chance, that if I don't feel knowledgeable enough about Mashiach, I better start learning about Mashiach. If I don't feel passionate enough about Mashiach, I better start talking more about Mashiach. I better start living more Mashiach, because if I didn't get the memo by now, time is of essence, because time is running out and Mashiach is soon coming. I was in Trader Joe's today, and I was like, I reflected for a second, because it just made me realize, like, what a crazy world we're living in. It was a line. I grew up in Crown Heights, so I was young, but like, I remember as a girl in elementary school, we used to go to the Rebbe for dollars, and there were times that the Rebbe's line was like all of Eastern Parkway going up Brooklyn Avenue. For those of you who are a little familiar with Crown Heights, all of Eastern Parkway from 770, and the line would go up Brooklyn Avenue. I walk into Trader Joe's, I come into my car, and I'm like, no, you're joking. There was a line that was going around the block, and I'm like, this is insane. I'm looking at the scene. Obviously, everyone's wearing masks. Everyone's like social distancing by, by whatever amount of feet that they're apart from each other. And I'm like, this world is, something's happening here. Like, we have to wake up and realize, like, there's something different happening, whatever you want to call it. But this is not the normal world that we know it. And it will never be the normal world. And if we step back and realize, what is this world? We're coming closer to the Mashiach world, but something big is changing in the world. The ear is different. The people are different. The interactions are different. Cars are not even in the streets. Everything's closed. Like, the world is just different. I was actually reading, it says that, how long does it take for when Mashiach will come till you start bringing karbanos? Anybody know? 20, I think it was 14 or 24 minutes from the beginning of Mashiach coming, when you hear the shofar, to like action, that Kohanim are like working in an action, 14 to 24 minutes. I'll check up exactly. That means to say, first of all, we better be ready, because we're not going to have so much time to be like, wait, I'm not ready yet. Let me get myself together. I'm still in pajamas from all day. Like, it's going to be 24 minutes max from when action was going to take place. Kohanim have to know the laws, because they don't have more than 24 minutes to really get this down pat. They can't be like, wait, which sheep? How do I do this? How do I sprinkle the blood? They got to know their laws down pat. It's not, like, no messing around. I remember once when I was in teen camp, I walked into a bunk at night, and all of a sudden there was this like thump, and a girl jumps into her bed. And so I started laughing. Obviously, I realized, like, the girl was, dressed or half dressed or semi-dressed or I don't know what dressed. And so when she saw I was walking in, she like flew under her covers. And I told her, I said, you're not flying under your covers for me. Like, I don't care. You want to walk how you want. Like, that's fine. That's cool. But imagine if at that moment, the person who walked through the door was Mashiach. And imagine that feeling when you're like, wait, Mashiach, 1 second, thump, I got to get under my covers. This is so embarrassing. We had 5,780 years to prepare ourselves. That last second would be ridiculous if I have to be like, wait, I'm really not ready. I would be so dead embarrassed. It's like I had enough time. How much more time do we need? I remember I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she said, she made a achlata that, for those people who wear nightgowns, it's a beautiful thing, and kol hakavod. And some people wear pajamas. And she said, if Mashiach came when I'm sleeping, which he could come at any time, right? We're all different time zones. So for one person, you'll be sleeping, for one person will be up. She says, I want to make sure that even when I'm wearing my pajamas, I want to be able to make sure that I could jump out of bed and I'm like ready and I'm put together. So near her bed, she always has her like slinky skirt, her sneeze shorter skirt, whatever, that's comfortable. And so that if she ever has to get out of bed and she's wearing her pajamas, she's ready to slip it right on. That's called, like, I'm ready for Mashiach. I remember when Shol Mordechai was put into prison, and I actually sent Mrs. Rubashkin, I sent her in the mail a huge bar mitzvah wedding challah, you know, those big size challahs, like the ones that they have at weddings by the head table. And I sent it to her and I told her, I said, this is a challah for the reunion party and the Seudah Seidah for when your husband's going to be reunited with the family. And she told me when he was released 6 years later, she said, Yehudis, I want to say that this challah was in the freezer for 6 years. And when he was released, I took it out of the freezer and we ate it at the Seudah Seidah party. She was ready. She didn't say, you know what, the heck with this challah, like, let's just eat it this coming Shabbos because he has a 25-year sentence and it's not going to happen. And I don't have any freezer space, so let's just get rid of this. She had full faith it's going to happen. And it did happen. She actually shared, she had his kapata in the car the whole time, so that when she gets the news that her husband's out, they wear these crazy looking pajama, you know, uniform suits. She goes, I want him to be able to be ready in his kapata so that he could come out like a mensch. And so the kapata was in her car the whole time. And it's true, because Hanukkah time when he was released, it was totally out of the blue. It was not expected. They were not ready for it. All of a sudden she gets the news, Mrs. Rabashkin, go pick up your husband. He's freed. So she's in the car. She's not going to make a detour and go back to wherever. She's going straight to Ottisville to go pick up her husband. Guess what was in the car? His hat and his kapata, and she was ready to pick him up. So I think that, you know, when we talk about Pesach Sheini, a second chance, again, now is the time to recommit that if I haven't gotten the memo, now is the time. Now is the time for me to get the memo. I got to be ready. And I think that, you know, I didn't personally know Chaya, but I definitely followed her during her years when she was alive, before her passing, and even during her passing, all the different memories that people were sharing and all the different messages that people were sharing, and looking at the face of someone who is so lively and so vibrant. And you think to yourself, you know, a neshama comes down into this world, sometimes 70, 80 years to do a favor for another person. We had no idea why a person comes down to this world. But I think that when you read up about, when I read up on Chaya and you know, and everything that she did, and you guys know her much more personally, Chaya represents what the Yemais HaMashiach is going to look like. Simcha, there was always this joy in her face. This I mean, her life, Chaya, it was like this Simcha Sachayim. And you think to yourself, what's going to be when Mashiach comes? There's just going to be this internal joy. Everyone's just going to be truly happy. Like there's, you know, we're all carrying something on our heart. Every one of us has someone that we know that's either sick, someone who just passed away. We all know something or someone, and if not personally, it's a friend of a friend. Everyone's going through a very similar situation. And when you think of what's going to be when Mashiach comes, just pure simchas hachayim, joy. And when you look at Chaya's face, that simcha, and I'm sure she was going through enough pain that she could have just said, I'm not interested in talking to anyone, I'm not interested in doing anything, the heck with all this, and you would see it on a person's face, right? But all the pictures that's portrayed is this joy, with her hair, without her hair, a simcha. And that's really, I mean, the Rebbe says, Ki b'simcha seitzeyu, we're going to march out of Galus with joy. And obviously when Mashiach comes, there's going to be this intense joy that's going to be of no pain and no suffering and no death and no illness. It's just going to be a happy, joyful thing. Another thing that I was touched with Chaya is that all of her experiences when she was in the hospital is that she realized that I'm here for a mission, I'm here for a purpose, I'm here for a specific shluchos, and if Hashem put me over there, then there's something over there that I need to accomplish. And she would try to interact with the doctors, and she would try to, give out nesheks and whatever it was that she was able to accomplish. She realized I'm here for a mission and purpose, and I can't just let my days pass. I can't just let time just make its way, and all of a sudden we're like, what day is it? Oh my gosh, tomorrow's Friday already. I just remember Friday last week. Every day was counted for, every day was measured, every day was used to its finest, and that's really, Chaya was giving a glimpse of really the life that we should be living now, because that's the life that we're going to live with when Mashiach comes. Every minute is precious because it's so powerful. Time is people that you're interacting with. There's so much to accomplish. There's so much to do. Who has time to just sleep it away? And I don't know, I'm so sluggish. I can't go to another class on Zoom, and I'm not doing too much exercise now. Like, it's easy to get into that mode, and I'm so just feeling so down. I'm feeling so like too many people that I know passed. Like I'm feeling that down feeling. But if you look at Chaya as a model what true life is, of what simcha is. And she went through her painful times, trust me, but what simcha is and what does it mean to take your time and to utilize it and to realize that we're all here as the last generation to ensure that we're taking all the previous generations and fulfilling that final shlichus that they're all cheering us on to do. And all those years of training and all those generations of training is here at this hand. Now we're the ones that are here to make it happen. So the question is, where do we get the strength from? How can we do it? So number one is exactly what you're doing right now is beautiful, by bonding with each other. Chassidim bonding with each other is the greatest Ahavas Yisrael, is how we're going to be able to get through this. And number two is the Rebbe writes that through total hiskashus with the Rebbe, that's how we're going to have the energy to fight off the Yetzer Hara, the last moments of Galus. Because the Yetzer Hara is so strong now. He's working overtime. He's working overtime because he knows that when Mashiach comes, he's out of business. So before Mashiach, he's working overtime, and he plays it and he masks it in all different shapes and forms. I'm too lazy. I can't daven now. I davened so hard for someone and it didn't come true and they passed away. So I don't really want to daven anymore. My davening is not even being listened to anyway. And we give a whole nice long list of all the things why we could justify it and it makes sense and it's true, but that's the Yetzer Hara. We had a speaker for my class. A girl in my class is not feeling well, mother of 8. She should have a complete refuah shlema. So I had a speaker to Farbrengen to come and Farbrengen with our class. And after, she texts me and she goes, I feel really bad. I don't know if what I said was like good. And she was like an older lady who like Farbrengens many times. And I wrote her back. I was like, whoa, Yetzer Hara trying to play with you. I mean, you did great. And you know, everyone had to hear what they had to hear. Why are you doubting yourself? And she goes, oh, I have a big Yetzer Hara, like a queen size Yetzer Hara. And he masks himself in like this intelligent woman, but really he's coming to me too. Like her point was the Yetzer Hara masks himself in every shape and form and every color. But that's as long as we know who he is and why he's here. He's here because we're right before Mashiach. And the Rebbe says in order to overcome this Yetzer Hara right before Galus, it's to ensure that we keep even more stronger to the Nasi than ever before, because he's going to give us the strength. So especially now with technology, you know, download an app. There's an IL app, write to the Rebbe 3 lines once a week before a test, before anything, before you go to bed. It's 1 line. It's a text message. It's an email basically. I mean, we text message our friends all the time. Now you can say to yourself, but it feels so weird. It feels so like casual. Guess what? You know what? If the Rebbe was here physically, then you'll be by him physically and you would be at Yechidus physically and you'll get $1 physically. The Rebbe is not here physically with us, then our relationship is going to have to be exactly how our relationship with our friends are. We're Zooming them, I'm zooming into the Rebbe, I'm texting the Rebbe, but I have to do so much more hachanas. No, guess what? The luxury of after Gimel Tammuz is you don't have to have all those hachanas. Get on, just text for 30 seconds. Dear Rebbe, please give me strength this week. I'm feeling sluggish. Give me the kayach. I'm not feeling so b'simcha. Give me the courage. I don't have so much emunah Mashiach. I'm losing my faith. Whatever it is that we need, and everyone needs something, plug in once a week before Shabbos, 30 seconds, 1 minute. It doesn't have to take more. Download, make sure you have an app of the Rebbe, just a gem app or whatever else it is. Just look at the Rebbe's face for a couple of seconds, a day, a week, whatever it is, just to plug in. The Rebbe writes that when you look at his face, that he gazes back at you. When he gazes back at you, the brachas are being transmitted from him to you. So just look at a Rebbe app. There's so much opportunity now. There's so many shiurim now that you're not in school officially. There's so many amazing shiurim that you could log into, that you could zoom into, that you can go on websites, go on to topics that you wanted to learn before, but you never had a chance to. And most of all, obviously, topics on Mashiach, because when Mashiach comes, the least thing that we should say is, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for you. Number 2, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do when Mashiach comes. Because the Rebbe writes so many sichas about Mashiach. The Rambam writes so much about Mashiach. We need to be ready. We need to know what's going to happen when Mashiach comes. Not everything. We don't have to know every detail, but enough that we should be confident to say, yeah, I'm ready for him. And what I do suggest is not just being ready, but make it so real to you that get your party going. You know, when Shalom Mordechai was free, his wife had a chal already. Mirz Hashem, Chaya is coming home soon. Do you have a party planned? Or like last second, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like guys, like she's here. What should we do now? Plan a party. Plan the party. Mrs. Lipsker, her husband passed away many years ago in a car accident, and she called Avram Fried, and she said, I want to hire you for the Suda Seda when my husband comes back. He's hired. They date this date unknown, but he's hired. She paid him. She put a down payment. And he's hired. Think to yourself that when Chaya comes home, anyone hosting, someone volunteering their house, how are you making this happen? Like, do you have nosh ready? Like, what's the deal? Are you, just have it planned. I remember, I used to go shopping for my mother, and she was in Crown Heights, so it was very hard for her to just pick herself up and go shopping. And over here it's much easier out of town. So whenever I would find like a really nice outfit, I would buy it for her. I knew her taste already at that point. I knew her style, and I would pick it up. So she would always laugh. She would be like, "Oh, you're my personal shopper." 2 years ago, she passed away. And whenever I go to the store, I have this pit in my stomach because I see all these clothing, and I'm like, oh, this is what I used to always do. I used to buy her the outfits. I was her personal shopper. And one time I saw this vest. It was just this really beautiful vest, totally her color. We had very similar colors, and that's why I knew what looks good on her looks good on me and vice versa. And it was just this beautiful vest that I knew, I know it would look good on her. It was the right coloring, the right style, the right fit. So I was like, hey, I'm going to for sure buy for me because it's a really nice vest. And then I said, you know what? I'm buying two. I'm buying one for me and I'm buying one for her. It was on sale. Okay, maybe if it was $100, maybe I'd think twice. But it was on sale. And I was like, you know what? I'm buying this vest because when Mashiach's going to come, she's going to be back. I'll give her the vest. So this vest is hanging in my closet. It's hanging in my house. I wear it sometimes in Shabbos, and I know I have another vest. I bought two of them, and there's another vest that I have so that when she comes back, I'll give her the vest. I mean, she's going to come back, neshama, big go, if she's going to need to wear clothes, right? I'm ready. When Chaya comes back, prepare your party. It's real. If we're making Mashiach a reality, how real is it in your life? One day when Mashiach comes, if that's your level of Mashiach involvement, then Pesach Sheini. It's time to up it up. Guys, we're given a second chance. It has to be so real that the Rambam says, Ani mamin be'emuna shalema. I firmly believe and I await his coming, that today could be the day that Mashiach's coming. If you knew that today Mashiach's coming, are you ready? Are you ready b'gashmias? Are you ready b'ruchnias? Are you ready with your mitzvahs? Are you ready with your davening? Are you ready in your hiskashrus? Are you ready b'gashmias for the party? When your friend is coming back, who's hosting the party? Whose house is it going to be in? What is the nash going to look like? Just push the b'gashmias because it's coming and it's happening. And Chaya is watching from above, and she sees the bigger picture. Every time I go on an airplane, it keeps reminding me. You look on an airplane and you see all the houses so symmetrical and so organized and so much in fashion. Everything looks so perfect. And then you start landing down and all of a sudden everything looks chaotic. From above, everything looks perfect. She sees Mashiach so close. She's begging to her friends and saying, guys, he's so close. Just do your last deed, do your last action. Because I see it happening. I see it happening and I'm coming back to you guys and I'm going to be reunited and I'm looking forward and I'm so excited. So in Mirz Hashem, we're going to be reunited with the Rebbe. We're going to be reunited with all the loved ones. You're going to be reunited with your friends. And I really don't want you to be caught off guard. I don't want you to be like that girl in teen camp who's diving under her covers. Be ready. Be ready. Don't be shocked. Don't be surprised. He's coming, and have everything ready. Make your Seudah Seder party. Make your reunion party and have it ready. And show Hashem that you're actually prepared for this and you're not just caught off guard. So I want to give all of you off a bracha that you guys should continue being the best friends that you are. And when a neshama passes, it doesn't die, it doesn't pass away, it just moves on. The neshama is always connected to its loved ones, it's always connected to its friends, and the mitzvahs that are done in honor of that person continues to linger on and continues to give schlusim for that neshama. And of course, she's going from greater heights to greater heights, and she's close to the Kisei HaKavod, and she's begging Hashem, and she's there having a big fat party with the Rebbe and many other chassidim that's happening over there. So she's definitely I'm sure very popular and bringing all her charm. And she's pushing all of her buttons up there to bring Mashiach, and she's begging you guys to push your final buttons down here so that you could all be reunited. And in Mirz Hashem, it's happening so soon. And Pesach Sheini is just telling you that if you haven't gotten that memo yet, it's never too late. L'chaim.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Ms. Walters on, and she wants to share something. So, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Blooming. That was amazing. I only got on right now. That was a very hard act to follow. I only heard the last couple minutes. That was very, very special and beautiful. Really appreciate it. So this was something that I really literally just told. First of all, thank you, Sarah and Ganesha, for arranging this, and for the entire high school, for everything you're doing, and for everything that you're involved in. It's really amazing, like what's going on, just another level. People are really like inspired in so many ways, and so many, from all angles, from all, corners of the community. Like I always tell you, they're just really wowed by this high school, about her, not just her class, but all the grades. So thank you for everything. We're really like just so grateful. Someone said to me, like, how do you handle this all? And I said, right now, I'm so grateful for everything going on. That's what I'm focused on. So you should just know how much you're doing. It's there's no words to really express that. I think I just texted Ganesha maybe about 20 minutes ago. So that, okay, I'm fine. I'll come on, I'll say something. So bear with me. I have a couple, things I wanted to bring out. So I think that one of the biggest things that come out here a lot is that the impact that we're talking here 5 years out, and it's a very unique, her impact and her legacy. Also, the amount of people that we get pictures of that go to her kvarim, go to the kever, in Eretz Yisrael. And my father always says it's very, very unique. It's very not usual. You see these by certain kind of Nishmas. So obviously we're dealing with something it's just not stam here. But what is it during her lifetime that created this story and this legacy, that we can also all try to create our own stories and legacies? And that's sort of what I want to touch upon. So to begin with, it's when we accept that everything comes from Hashem, including the hardest challenges, so that gives us the strength and the tools to deal with everything in serenity and in calmness. And those that don't have faith and that don't have God, they really don't have what to fall back on. And they can't manage even the slightest difficulties that come up in their life because they really don't see a purpose in their challenges. And everything looks very unfair to them. And so what belief does is that it gives us this perspective that there's a purpose to everything, even when we don't see it. I'm sure you heard of the famous, I'm sure from teachers in the past or speakers, you heard of the famous psychologist and author Viktor Frankl, he went through the Holocaust and he survived, and he wrote a book that was considered very revolutionary at that time about a new method of psychology. And his philosophy was that people can get through anything in life, even the worst evil, right? He went through the Nazis and everything, even the worst evil, if they see purpose in it. And at that time, he was attacked by everyone on his beliefs. It was very revolutionary, but the Rebbe encouraged him to continue with this tremendously, even during his most difficult times, to continue spreading this outlook, because the Rebbe understood that this is really the only way that people will be able to get through the hardships that they face, and that will then affect their life choices and their continued direction. This was a story of a chassid who once went to his Rebbe, and we're talking about Rebbe Menachem Lizensk, and he asked his Rebbe that he really wants to be zeicha to the Lilui of Eliyahu Hanavi, to merit the revelation of Eliyahu Hanavi. And his Rebbe told him to go down to the marketplace, and he's going to experience it there. He goes to the market and he looks around and he sees nothing other than a bunch of horses standing there. And he comes back to his Rebbe and he says, I didn't merit and sing Eliyahu Hanavi. And his Rebbe says, so what did you see? And he says, I saw a bunch of horses tied to a plank, and some were standing very calmly. Others were very wild, kicking, trying to free themselves. And yet they were all still in the same situation at the end of it all. So from this, I learned that there are many people who accept their situation in the world with peacefulness and calmness, like those horses that were standing calmly. And there are those who complain and scream and are unhappy, but it doesn't change their situation at all. Everything is from heaven. So what benefit is there in being bitter and being complaining? So his Rebbe turned to him and he said, oh, so that's it. That was your Gilui Eliyahu. And that to understand that everything is from above, that it's our reaction to things that make all the difference. And that every single one of us have those moments of this type of Gilui Elio, but we have to be willing to let ourselves see it and to feel it. And especially since everything with Chaya, I realize that we've definitely come across many such moments of if I could say this, Gilui Elio, of realizing and accepting and understanding these things in the moments of it. And I'm in awe, and I'm thanks to Hashem for those inspiring things that we were able to see, that he granted that to our family. And I'm sure there's many others that have it as well. Because some could say, you know, how do you know? It's impossible otherwise to have been able to cope with everything that went on. You know, you're watching your child go in and out of hospitals and clinics and awful treatments and you know, and scans and fear and pain. It's gut-wrenching. There is no other way except to have had the Gilui Elio at that time to grasp what's going on, that it's all from heaven and there's a purpose, and it's how we're going to react to it and deal with it. And every time, and every one of those times and moments, past and present, that we let ourselves experience these revelations of Elio. And it's not just the faith and the belief and the hashgacha of it all and the bigger picture of it all, but it's the attitude and it's the choices. And those things are what kept Chaya being Chaya, right? For all of us who knew her, that was her thing. And really, that is what her story was all about. She was creating that story during her lifetime, and ultimately that's what we want her story to be about now as well. And our story, our life was very different before all of that, right? Life seemed so much simpler back then. And obviously it becomes much more intense, but it also becomes much richer, much deeper, more meaningful, a deeper relationship with God. And you see things differently. Again, because when you experience these things, when a person experiences things, how could it not be? A person's seeing, you know, a girl fighting for her life, confined to a bed, and there's a port line sewn into her skin for treatment and transfusions that she can't, you know, deal with, that needs to be cleaned and changed and dressed every day, almost every day. She can't shower normally or swim when she loved swimming. And still, what would she do? When she would be next to a pool, this is the kind of person that she would still smile and dangle her feet into the pool, or to try to get it with her spunky personality, to try to get everybody else cracking up next to her, she'd hang upside down with her head in the pool. You know, that was Chaya. That was the choices that she made. And, you know, this is again a girl who, just to get everybody to laugh, and somebody who, you know, she couldn't eat for hours at a time, and she would be nauseated and then not eat, and then it would create headaches. So what would she do? What were her choices that she made? What was her story? That every visitor that came, she wanted them to enjoy all the junk food that was in her room, that everybody was bringing her. Come enjoy it, you know, have fun with it. That gave her a pleasure. You all know that about it. There are bookfuls that we can write. And really, I watched her in awe every single day, and just learned so much from her at that young age, on her acceptance and her attitude and her joy and her faith. And she had unbelievably beautiful life choices that she kept making that impacted all our choices, and I think everybody around her, for then and now and really for eternity. Obviously, when a kid that age goes through something, it matures them very, very quickly. So she saw things already very differently. It wasn't like it started at 9 or 10 and 11. It wasn't that age anymore. It didn't seem that way. Obviously, we all know there were adults that were her best friends, and they felt like she was their age. And she saw the life very differently already, and her choices also, you know, she was friends from anyone from like 1 year old till 90. That was Chaya, you know, still getting the different messages from all kinds of ages, you know, about the people from the different circumstances and ages. And so Hashem put us in different circumstances, and I feel like he put us in this circumstance because he wanted us to be able to rise to the occasion and to continue writing out her story. Obviously, we're meant to be part of it in its highest forms. And you can almost really touch God at those times because it's otherworldly. And Chaya's story was and does continue to be very powerful. And I have no idea whose great soul she had. There's obviously was a neshama that's not stam. It's possible that that person needed to come back and be more besimcha in life. And so her test was even greater, that she would be sick. And now let's see how much besimcha you can be. And her simcha never stopped. She passed the test with flying colors. And her circumstances were given to her. She wasn't given a choice in that. But she had choices to make every single day and every single night, and how to act and how to react and how to give and how to inspire. And boy, did she make those right choices all the time. It was that those were something that was in her power. Again, her circumstances were not her choice, but then how to react and how to act were her choice. And so even like the things that trying to prepare Negovasser also, here we're talking about personality, but I'm talking about also the other things like preparing Negovasser in the hospital, davening even at the hardest moments in the hospital, her level of deep respect to her parents. You know, she was acutely aware, like I told you, they mature very fast at that age, acutely aware of wanting us to not be worried and to be happy. And so she had deep respect and always wanting to make us happy. Her level of dignity and sneeze all the time in front of the doctors and nurses. She wanted to make sure she was covered with a hospital gown. Also very, very sensitive to the details of it. And in general, as you know, her humor and her fun and her pranks and her crazy fun, Chaya, spunky attitude and style within everything. And she had a lot of love and a karas tov to all the people in her life. When I say all the people in her life, I don't mean just my family, I mean all of you, all her friends. I mean everybody. And her constant help. She used to use her talents and her creativities, no matter what she was going through. She was so happy to be home whenever she would get to be home. So she would just do her utmost, whether it was setting a Shabbos table or Yom Tif. She just loved being a part of it all, her creativity and organizing and baking and all those kind of things that she loved doing. And it was very painful for when she was stuck there Shabbos or Yom Tif, but she would brave it. She would brave it all, and she made the best of it. She painted her life with very vibrant colors. And that is the story that she chose to write for herself every single day. And that's why the effects are everlasting and the impact and the legacy doesn't stop. You know, as you know, I mean, I'm sure you've heard many of these things before, but there wasn't one nurse or doctor who wasn't affected by her. And they, if we go by just for a regular pediatric visit, I don't stop in that department much, but if I do, they will still talk about her. Almost anyone that came in contact with her, and her counselors, volunteers, visitors, her friends, you all know this probably more than anybody. And the chief doctor, you know, that picture that's on that video that they put with Chaya putting up the mezuzah on his door, Jewish. He never let anybody do it before until it was Chaya. The pilot, you know, that LAPD helicopter. They said their own stories of their life were changed since the minute that they met her. And they couldn't exactly explain it, but they all said the same thing. And they said it just impacted them in ways that they couldn't even explain it. And you know, I think I've said before also, may have heard about he was this old funny guy that would push up and down the food carts, up and down the hallways. And he would ask me every time, how long is she staying this time for? He loved her. He said, she is my favorite patient. I love seeing her happy. She is the happiest person around. And he would steal tons of little strawberry boxes from the hospital pantry because that's all she ever wanted. She was only in the mood of strawberries. She wasn't in the mood of anything else there. She loved them. So he would try to sneak in all these tiny boxes to her all the time. He just loved making her happy because she was his favorite, and she was so happy already. And it did so much to him. So I guess what we need to remember is that each one of us are also writing our own story based on our challenges and our circumstances that we're going through. And it doesn't need to be, God forbid, any big challenge, and it shouldn't be about health. And sometimes it's about a job, and sometimes it's about a shidduch, and sometimes many, many things. It could be a simple thing like a relationship with a friend, setbacks over there. For some, it might even be like their life seems kind of smooth and sailing, but they feel maybe empty, they feel unfulfilled, and they feel it's mundane and something like they can't put their finger. There's many different challenges that people go through in many ways, and we don't always know about it just because we think we do, but everyone's going through something in some way or other, or some level or other. And we're all writing our own book, and every book has its own plot. And some have highs and lows and ups and downs, and some would make a Shakespeare story look lame in comparison. That's how much is going on in their life. And some have very boring plots and very simple plots. Everyone is writing their own unique story every day and every hour. And the choices that we make are not predetermined by Hashem. They are our choices alone to make, and they decide who we are and what we're going to be and what our impact's going to be, and so on and so forth. And the plots are written by Hashem, yes, but the characters are written by us. It says in the book of Bereshis, Zeh Sefer Toldos Adam, that Sfarim explain this to mean a person's life story is a book. All Jewish books, by the way, have a happy ending. Sometimes we merit to see the ending, the happy ending in this life, and sometimes not yet. It's going to be later on. But we have the choices of how the book's going to come out and all the things that we were speaking about until now. And basically, we are continuing to write not only our story, but Chaya is so grateful that we continue to write her story, Lilui Nishmas, by living and trying to act with her famous Chaya legacy in all these different areas. And I'm sure she is loving the way you're all continuing to write her story and the different actions that unfold. And I think she's extremely grateful. She can't write her story anymore. Her story and her impact that she created for those 11 years were like someone 5 times her age, but she cannot write them anymore. And that's where we continue to write them for her. And for that, there's no question that when Mashiach comes, she's going to be so grateful to all of you. And we are also grateful. And Mashiach Shataka comes soon, where we can present her the end plots of her book, you know, the end chapters. And we say, look what we continued with your legacy and how it inspired everybody else. And I'm sure she's doing her part, and we need to do our part so we can see her soon with the coming of Mashiach speedily. So thank you so much. And to be in Nishmas, Mushka Menachem Mendel. And we should see everybody back.
That was really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So Ganesh, I'm glad you convinced me. I'm happy I did it. And sorry, I don't know what just happened here. Oh.
We'll show one thing. We're going to show, thank you so much, Father. That was beyond. Mashiach now.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very, very much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Of course. One quick video that we all know very, very well. And I think that part of this video, we see a part that we played in this video of whoever wasn't in elementary is in junior high then, and in school then. We made a heart on top of our school building. So after this video, we're going to post a link to a Google Docs that we could all try to take on an achata. You could choose an achata that we have options there, and you could choose for however long you want to do it, and then we'll send it into the Rebbe. So you present your name and your boss mother's name, and to the Spalter family. And I think that by doing this, we're going to really, really say Chaya. As Ms. Blooming said, the party's ready, and everyone wants to tell me, and we'll make a flyer for the party of Chaya coming back with Mashiach now. So after we're finished here, the link's going to be on the WhatsApp and email also. Go on it, send a chata in and we'll send it into the Rebbe. And I'm sure, like, positive that this is going to be what's going to make it happen. And we can't wait to see all of you in Yerushalayim right now with Chaya now. Sarah, take it away. Sarah, we can't hear the sound. Give us a second.
בכל הדרכים שהלכתי בעצם, היית לי נר לרגליים. הייתי עיוור, לא ראיתי מעבר למה שהביטו עיניי. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, הלא שעל בכי על צחוק, גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, הלא שעל בכי על צחוק, גם כשקשה לפעמים, רק אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. גם כי אלך בדרכי חשוכה, בטחתי בך אלוקיי, על חצי שני, על בכור וילדה, תודה גם על אושר בלי די. תודה על חגים, על שבת ששומרת, שלא ייגמר לעולם. כל יום שעובר בדרכי לגן עדן, שיוויתי אותך מול עיניי. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק, גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק, שקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, הלא שעל בכי על צחוק, גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, הלא שעל בכי על צחוק, גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא
Great
So
choice. That was
reading,
such a great choice of video, by the way. That is my favorite video ever of Chaya. And look at the joy you all brought her with the heart. And I think you remember I think it was the first year that you all did a circle, a smiley face on the roof.
yeah,
That we're saving for the documentary. That's why there's no video of that one yet. They didn't want everything out. So the smiley face we're still sending. We'll let you know when that's available. But that was, I remember Sarah Newman, your uncle did that. I was so grateful when he took her and then he made that video. It's probably one of the best videos of all time. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it again.
of course. So everyone, in all seriousness, text me if your home is available for our party and everyone to go off now and to fill your achatais, and we'll send it into the shelter family and to the Rebbe, and with certainty that I think we all have now to really Pesach Sheini to make this happen. And I can't wait to see all of you in Yerushalayim now. So good Yom Tif, and Chaya.
so much.
See you there.
Thank you.